We have new information from our exit polling. Lester Holt with the voice of the voter. And Lester, the topic is more or less government. I think I know the answers to this, but we'll defer to you on them.
Yeah, Keith, as we look through these numbers, one of the stories, themes emerging tonight really is this whole role of government in all our lives, an issue that certainly has helped drive the Tea Party movement. We've been asking about this in our NBC News exit poll for years, and take a look at this. I want to go back to 1994, when a big Republican wave switched the House from Democratic to Republican. Back then, 56% said the government was doing too much. Take a look at today, same percentage, same number. But I want you to contrast that to 2008, when the wheels on the bus were falling off, the financial meltdown was happening. President Obama had just been elected. Back then, people kind of liked the idea of a little more government. 43% back then said the government was doing too much. Who is most worried about too much government? Well, the Tea Party supporters, people who put immigration at the top of their list of concerns, those who are very worried about the economy, and white voters without a college degree. In the debate over how far government should go to help solve problems, the pendulum appears to be swinging back toward less tonight, Keith.
The pendulum swings indeed. Lester Holt, voice of the voters, the exit polling. Thank you kindly. What does it mean, Chris?
Well, I think the perception of, as I said early tonight, I think that Bush did the bailout. Bush was president when we had the worst economic crisis since the 30s. Bush was president when the whole economic slide clearly began. And then Obama came in and used Keynesian economics to try to compensate for the drop in consumption, the drop in business investment with the larger federal expenditure, which is about, it added to the deficit. And so he was blamed for, quote, the growth of government. Then he made good on the commitment for health care that had been made by every president, including Nixon and Teddy Roosevelt going back forever, and he was blamed for that. I just think it's the American people respond to symptoms, not to diagnosis. They respond to symptoms. When the economy's bad, they get, I'm mad. Now I got somebody tell me who to be mad at. That's the second step. And now it is that there's one guy in charge. It's a Democrat who's a liberal, a relatively progressive Democrat. So you blame him. That's the easy part. That explains almost all of what happened tonight. Who's in? And what's going on. Okay, the third thing they look for is a little more sophisticated argument. So the Republicans said it's all spending. Spending, spending, spending. Well, that's the problem. Now, do we want the federal government to deal with the mess that was created by private industry down in the Gulf? Do we want the federal government to show up when there's a tremendous flood? Yes. Do we want the federal government to protect our airline safety? Do we want the federal government to protect our food safety? Anything that affects me personally, we want some helping hand. We want the government to help us, not just during crisis, but most of our lives. Then there's a general notion that got started. I think Santelli. What was that guy's name?
Rick Santelli.
Okay, what was the beginning of the Tea Party notion? It was that we are somehow bailing out people that shouldn't have bought homes. That somehow we're giving them rent subsidies. We're not.
Yeah.
People are being kicked out of their homes. But somehow there was the notion that the worker bees were being screwed to help out the non-worker bees.
He was standing on the floor of a stock exchange pointing at people making six figures saying, these are the real Americans out here. The people who work at investment houses.
That meant less government because people thought of government as somebody who's shifting their wealth to the people that are lazy. And that's how he started Santelli. He really started this idea, and it plays into every kind of class and ethnic aspect of the country.
It is kind of the metaphor for this, or the symbol of it was that a possibly apocryphal phrase, get your damn government hands off my Medicaid. Yeah. That is, I want the government, or Medicare, the government is there when I want it, and I want it to not charge me.
You mean Medicare's a federal program?
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't fall from the sky with the rain.
Don't know how to, and not only that, but do something about jobs. Do something about this economy. Do something.
But that's another point.
Less government.
That's concomitant with what Chris said, because the moment Lehman Brothers wobbled, that did not suddenly increase unemployment to 9.5%, just as there was supposedly trickle down. There's also trickle down in bad news. And whoever the guy is there, when the bottom is hit, is the one whose fault it is.
The government's supposed to reduce the unemployment rate. Yeah. Well, how's it supposed to do it? Yeah. It either spends more money, does something with the tax structure, does something, but it has to do something. So when people say less government, do they really want laissez-faire? Do they really mean get out of my face and let me be unemployed?
Exactly.
No, they say, where's my frickin' job?
Mm-hmm. But you look at the cause of the economic crisis that we're in is the financial crisis that we went through because of the collapse of the banking sector, right? So how does the electorate respond to that? By electing John Kasich of Lehman Brothers to be the governor of Ohio.
We've got to interrupt you. Connecticut is in the Attorney General of Connecticut, Dick Blumenthal,